Hello, this is Table for Two. I'm Nekia with Table for Two, and I'm sitting here with Jesse Van der Vorst, right?
Mhm.
Sorry. And who is a board game enthusiast. He's a board game creator. He has
Cubes,
Corvid
Corvus
cubes
cubes,
and rollers.
roll for rolls.
Roll for rolls. I'm sorry. So I learned a little bit about you online, and later on we'll include ways that you guys can find Jesse and find his games and what he's up to. There's another thing about you that's kind of interesting. You've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for over a decade, right?
Yeah, and I've been running games for people both in my personal life and professionally. Just as kind of, part of the gig economy, wanting to play more D&D, but not being able to dedicate time to it without some sort of financial backing. And people have uh, believed in me enough to want to keep paying me to come back.
I'm curious, how has this playing Dungeons and Dragons, how's that shaped the way you think about games?
Well, I think that um, when I first got into D&D over a decade ago now, I was really interested in the mechanics of everything. Like, oh, wow, you have some movement and an action economy of you do this and then this, and that's all you can do on your turn, so on and so forth. But I think as I've played more and gotten deeper in the community, I've really thought more about the story of a game, right? I think if you
Mhm.
talk to most game professionals in any way that you can define game, they'll always talk about the way that the game tells a story. And in D&D, that's like the story of, friends getting together and going on adventures in all the ways that that can manifest. But even like Yahtzee and the game that you're playing there of like, oh my God, I can't believe that you rolled four fours twice or whatever. Everybody
Right.
talks about that. It's an exciting story to share around the table. So that's a part about games that I've delved more into and D&D opened my eyes to.
How I see Dungeons and Dragons is a lot like virtual reality before without the goggles on your face.
Yeah, I mean it's an imaginative space, right? You're playing with each
Yeah.
other's imaginations just like you would if you were 7 years old on the playground, right? You,
Yeah.
every kid who has a stick in his hand and is marching around the soccer field knows like how to play D&D. So yeah.
Oh, yes. So I was wondering when you're making a game, how do you know when the idea is good enough to keep developing that game or shelving it?
So I'm a newer game designer, but what I found and what the advice that I've heard is if it's fun, you should keep doing it. It's like a follow the fun kind of idea, right? Because I think that's also at
Yeah.
the core of games of the game should be fun. So, and now designing a game is not always fun, right? It can be work. Sometimes I'm sitting down with spreadsheets and being like, if the wheat costs three, is that too much? That can be kind of grueling in some ways. But the idea is if this core part of your game is fun, or if you show it to somebody and they're having fun with the game, or if you show it to somebody and they didn't have fun with this part but had fun with that part, you should follow that part, keep exploring that idea,
Mm.
and however that exploration manifests.
It sounds like it could go on forever. Like you could design a game for 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah. The
Yeah.
the problem is knowing when to stop is uh, another part. Knowing when to keep developing is keep following the fun, but when should you stop developing and be like, this is ready to go? That's a whole other skill for sure.
But do you think that there's like a gateway game that going from something like Yahtzee into this the whole table's full of cards
Mm.
and pieces?
I think that the classic gateway game is probably Catan, Settlers of Catan. And I still think that's the classic gateway game. It's just interesting enough for I feel like somebody like me who's been playing tabletop games for a long time to still be like, oh yeah, there's something going on there, but also simple enough for people who are moving on from like Sorry and Monopoly to be able to understand and have fun with. That's the big thing, right? Because there's a big barrier of like, I don't get what's going on here, which just isn't fun.
Yeah.
So uh, I think Catan gets you past that. Those other games too, Pandemic, Carcassonne, Um, but it really just depends on whichever game catches your fancy, right? If you talk to most people like at a board game convention and say, what was
Yeah.
your gateway game? You'll get different answers because everybody
Oh
has a
yeah.
different like entry into the hobby.
That's a good idea, actually. I just went to my first board game convention like 2 months ago,
Mm.
I think it was. I loved it. Yeah, that's what I'm starting to understand that the bigger games, what do you call the bigger games like that you play where there's
I would say just like
cards,
hobby games.
hobby games,
It all depends. I mean, there's different genres, right? Strategy games, deck building
strategy
games.
games?
Yeah.
So, I wanted to say congratulations on you getting signed. I hear you're in the works. You're having some conversations with a production
Yes.
company about your
Mm.
game. What does that mean when a game gets signed by a publisher?
So what it seems to be to me, because this is going to be my first game that's getting signed, is uh, before I was doing a lot of game design, by myself, and I'd uh, figure out how I wanted the game to work, show it to friends and family, or maybe even people that I've met online who are interested in the type of game. But it was all kind of personal, right? Like I'm figuring this out. I show it to this person, they give me an idea. I'm figuring this out. I'm working with my partner Jenny as well to, be like, we think this should change, or we should just move this out of this game or whatever. But it's all very personal, like, it's our ideas and making it happen. But I feel like once you get the game signed, you're handing it over, right? You're handing it over to a company and their team, and they have their ideas about what might want to go, and they have
Mm.
like pressures that I haven't had so far, like making the game make money, making the game marketable, making the game digestible, right? It's very different to be there explaining the game, or even to have your rule book and show it to somebody who you know, versus like uh, the game is now being played in England, and I've never met those people, and there's a slightly different culture, or even more removed, a different language in a different country.
Mm. Hmm.
Making sure all those things are kosher and understandable,
Oh,
and all those
wow.
different pressures of actually getting the game out there. That's the big change. Now we have to focus on those things.
So, if they sign you in America, they start out obviously probably in English.
Right. Hmm.
And what makes them decide to like take it to another country?
So I don't know for sure for this company, but I know that in general, it's where the market is, right? I know there's
Mm.
a market in China for board games, but it's slightly different than the English-speaking market. I know that there's a market in Europe. Uh, there's a about as big a market. I said that there's a bigger market in Europe as a whole than there is in the US, and maybe like
Mm.
Canada and Mexico as well, and then North America. Um, but what makes them decide to get into extra markets is if they think the game will be sellable there, or if the game is just very popular where it is right now. They think maybe a niche market in Germany would like to see it, or
Mm.
something like that.
Hmm. Now, I am curious, like, have they spoken to you about would they change like the pieces at all or the colors because of this
Yeah,
country
yeah.
they're in?
They might change the whole theming.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's the core idea of the game is such and such, and they might want to change the game to this other thing, and that's when I was designing the game, that's what I did too. I said, oh, I think I want it like this, but I'm going to change this, right? I have a central market in my game that's gone through several iterations of what it looks like, how the players can interact with it. So they might decide, you know what, we want to change theming from space to Western, and then we'll do everything in Western theming now. And I might even be like,
Mm.
actually, I didn't consider that at all. That's an amazing change. Or I might be like, I
Yeah.
like Western, but maybe we can do Space Western. And they might say yes to that too, right? It's all about the
No,
discussion.
yeah, that sounds cool. You sound like you can handle your brain can handle all these details. It's amazing to me.
Thanks.
I'm wondering, like if money was there was no budget or anything, like what would you be creating?
I think I would be creating this game. That's what I want to do. Um, uh, I think for me, I gotta support myself, so there's a pressure on me that way. But it's been time more, right? Like I dedicate
Mm.
the time I need to my job, my day job, and um, doing anything else I need, chores, stuff like that. But it's not so much that I'm worried about the money, or if I'm really honest with myself, I'm worried about this game making profit. I just want to design stuff and put it out there and play games with my friends, all that sort of stuff.
Is there anything tinkering around in there though, like a kind of game that you'd love to create?
I think I would say this might be true for even the majority of game designers. There's uh, ideas of like huge scale like war and strategy games that like take 24 hours to play and like have all these interesting mechanics, right? I think a lot of hobby gamers are get starry-eyed when you start describing something like that, but it's such a massive project to try to do something like that, and then it's like negatively marketable most of the time, right? Because everybody has that idea, but when you get to brass tacks, even people who like really say they want to play that game, can they find a whole weekend to get all of their friends together to do it? And who's going to buy that $200 game or whatever it is? So
Oh yeah, no,
I don't
makes
think I'm ever
sense.
really going to design anything like that, but it's always kind of in the back of my mind.
So I'm curious, where do you spoke to it a little bit, where do you see this hobby headed in the next 5, 10 years, like for all board gamers?
So I think that there's going to be a continual growth. There's been, if you see like the number of people that have been playing board games, there's been kind of a steady, almost exponential rise in people that are interested. Um,
Mm.
I only got into it, what was this, like 2014 now? Was like the first time I went out and bought a hobby game. I was like,
Yeah.
I think I bought Pandemic and Castle Panic and one other game, which these are some older games now.
You
Um,
went right in though. You didn't just get one and try it out.
no, because I was kind of teetering on the edge for like a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy a bunch, see if I like any of them. Um, and I think that there's going to be more and more people that are interested. But I think that what's going to happen is a lot of the older games like Stratego, and uh, maybe Carcassonne, which I mentioned before. But these games that were hobby games in the past, but now have been in print for like 20 plus years, if not longer. Uh, the games that you would I picture them as the kind of games that you would find in your grandparents' or parents' closet, and you ask them, "What's this game?" And they go, "Oh, I don't know." Like, I think there are games that are fading away, basically. I think that the board game sphere was young enough that any game you talked about, people had heard of, but now that there's kind of been an maturing of the hobby, there are games people just don't know. They're old war games from like the 1970s that maybe somebody at a board game convention would be like, "Oh, I love that game," but there'd be like two people out of 1,000 that remember that that game was published, right? I think the sphere is old enough now that people are forgetting old games. And I think that's okay. That's how things are going to change.
Okay. So not that they're going to come back, but that some are just going to fade out and now games that you started playing in 2014 will be the
Exactly.
oldies but goodies.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to influence that the board game community in any kind of way besides just bringing more games into the picture?
I think that I in general, yes. But
Right.
only in the way that I'd like to be able to introduce more people to board games, and I'd like to also people that are already in it, I'd like to introduce them to the games that I love. That's
Hmm.
that's basically it. I don't think I'm searching for widespread influence. I think I'm just wanting to, if there's a person next to me who's interested in this kind of stuff, I want to bring them in. That's part of the thing that I'm part of the reason why I try to be a professional dungeon master is almost all of my clients are people who are like, I've heard about D&D, but I don't know what it is. And I'd be like, oh, it's really cool. Let me show you how to play and all that sort of stuff. That's what I like doing.
But
Sounds
I
great.
did want to know if there was anything that you wanted to say to your fans or board gamers out there um, on your own.
I'd like to say feel free to get in touch. You'll see my socials at the end of this, and uh, yeah, if you're interested in any questions or you have any questions for me or for uh, which is about tabletop gaming or game design or Dungeons and Dragons. I love talking about that sort of stuff, so I'd be happy to some messages
Awesome.
back and forth and see what you're into, see what I'm into. Yeah.
It sounds almost like a fraternity. Like if you do what I do, I love you, man. You know?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay, I want to share how to get a hold of Jesse here. Okay, that's table for two. That's us. We are where strangers become friends and friends turn into family. Just pull up a chair. And the pull up the chair is me. Just saying that's not actually our theme. This is our website, table for two dot games. This is Jesse, how you can get a hold of Jesse Van der Vorst. The Gmail, his website, and Linktree even. Is that to
Yeah.
schedule with you
No,
or
it's just links to like our Instagram. I think we have a Facebook page maybe in there too.
I want everyone to see ours as well. So what I'd like to do is post this on your site and ours so your fans can see, but also our fans can see you.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being here today, for giving me your time, explaining things that I had no clue about, So this was fun. This is gonna get me in that world a little deeper. I appreciate it. And I
Sweet.
love, love, love your background. I really kind of want to know about these dragons. Like, is that
This
something
is
you
called
made?
I think it's called cross stitch or maybe it's cross hatch now. It's been a while since I did it, but yeah, it's just like a kit that you can buy and then you make these things. It's kind of like paint by number for
Mm.
sewing, so I really like them and
Can,
they're nice backgrounds, right? Yeah,
they're gorgeous. Can you when you rub them, does it feel like a carpet?
yeah, it does feel like
Oh,
carpet. Mm,
okay. I've seen it before, but yours are gorgeous.
thanks,
Wow. Well, I wish you well the game and that you make as many as you want to. Like your
thanks.
wildest dreams come true. And I hope I'm pulling one of your games off the shelf one day and buying it.
I hope so too. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you. Thank you.